Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Haymarket View. I'm one of your hosts, John, here with another one of your hosts, David. Here's David. And today is Remembrance Day. We're going to be talking about a whole load of stuff to do with today. Unfortunately, this is belated Remembrance Day as it's coming out. But we're recording this on Remembrance Day, everybody. Always know that we try to make it as current as we can, but some things are really important, so we're gonna just make a video about it, and we're just gonna commemorate the history of World War One, not to commemorate it as a great and amazing and awe war, but as a great and in awe in a way, in the way that it impacted the world for many different ways. Some say for the better, some say for the worse. That we're going to investigate a little bit of our ideas as to how things happened, our remembrance as to how things happened. We are not historians. Everybody keep in mind, we are college students, freshmen, if you will.
Yeah, neither of us are taking programs in history.
Exactly. Neither of us are history majors, so take our word that we conjure up in this video with like a massive mountain of salt, everybody. Please, for the love of God. Please. Sorry, that was really loud, but the point is like, guys, make sure you guys take this all with your own opinion as well. Anyways, okay, David, let us know what this means to you. I guess World War One. I guess what's the historical importance?
Well, World War One was arguably one of the biggest signifiers that prevented America.
I mean, everybody knows, but sorry, David, go ahead.
World War One is probably the biggest reasons why America did not become a socialist country in the 20th century.
You think so?
Yes.
Why? Explain.
Because everyone was either died or had this like newfound patriotic vitriol. That's why.
Patriotic vitriol.
Because really, you had a country like the U.S. where, people were not happy turn of the century. They were not.
Some of them were happy.
Maybe the ultra rich were for sure. The industrialists, oh my God, they were laughing. But I'm saying that the majority of like working Americans were not very happy. And also, like, we're talking
slaves.
Decades after the Civil War. America hadn't really done anything super virtuous in a while. Besides maybe like the Spanish-American War, shit like that. Like, there wasn't I don't think a lot of patriotism at that time, like in American history. It wasn't at its absolute worst. Some would argue that was during the Depression, which, of course, was another similar situation where we had a war that reinvigorated everything. I think
that's inevitable that it was the Depression.
I know, but it's actually similar. Like the Depression was a lot like the early 19th century. The early 19th century in America was kind of like a depression of sorts. It was not an economically super sound time.
If you mean that there were a lot of people who had it really bad,
yes.
Like Irish, for example, yeah.
Also, just a lot of people were dirt fucking poor.
People were dirt fucking poor. There wasn't a whole lot of money to go around for the amount of people that were coming in, and prices still stayed the same, and like it was really bad. Like, distribution didn't happen as well, and a lot of people got the short end of the stick. A lot of people got put in ghettos, and it was a really bad kind of immigration flow. America could not handle it at the time. It was not industrialized as much as it was, I guess you could say, idealized to be.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues. There were multiple, both political and I guess economic, but that's one part of it. Okay, in terms of other World War One things, I mean, how does it chain on to our world today? Not just hypothetical,
Oh shit. Well, another one could be conflict between Russia and Germany. Russia and Germany still don't like each other.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's never changed. Except, East Germany different, but I'm talking about like, West Germany, because really the modern Germany as it exists today is still dominated by West Germans. Like, they are still the most important people in terms of elections, politics. I 100% believe that.
You really think so?
Yeah, I think for the most part, for all intents and purposes.
If you're talking about UN, maybe.
I'm just saying, for all intents and purposes, in German, like, politics, the East is just not that important. Maybe East Berlin, but even then, like, no one really gives a shit about, like, Potsdam or Saxony or any of these other places that are just really poor and kind of backwoods. They care about Brandenburg.
I mean, what kind of percentage?
Not Brandenburg, but Bavaria.
I mean, what kind of unproportional representation do West Germans have over European politics?
I don't
even
imagine
think
it'll
it's
be
that much.
large.
I don't even.
know, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure. Part of me thinks you're overstating this.
I am. This is totally just off the cuff. I'm no, not
This is
no. We're
all-
not citing
this is off the
sources.
cuff. What do you mean?
I'm not citing. I have no sources. I have no.
Okay,
But
then I don't know. Then
I just.
I don't know. Then
From what I've
David.
read, this is apparently the case. I'm not saying there are no important people in the EU or whatever that are East German, but I'm just saying by and large there aren't that many.
All right.
Even in terms of German media, other than the only one I can think of off the top of my head of like a famous person in Germany who's East German is probably what's his name? Fuck the is it from Rammstein, the singer from Rammstein. He's East German.
I don't know.
I can't remember his name. I think it's Eric or Eric something, Eric Steiner or something like that. But he's probably like the most famous East German in terms of like celebrities, like in terms of music, musicians, actors, directors. He's probably the biggest one. You know?
Why do you think that is?
Because the sort of sound he was going off of was a very.
No, why do you think thus he's the only one?
Because I would you could argue that East German culture was a little bit too different to appeal to most West Germans. But musically, if you listen to like let's say like the really underground, obscure post-punk or kind of industrial music from East Germany in the 1980s, you can kind of see the beginnings of elements of that sort of sound, like the Rammstein industrial sort of sound. You can hear a little bit of it. Like you listen to bands from East Germany from that period, they were super fucking raw, super noisy, and all of us, and they just it was completely night and day when you compare it to the West German sound, like the new Deutsch wave type shit, like Nina. Like or like all of the weird like discotheque bullshit pop, like Blue Boy and like freaking what was his name yeah, like or like Tarzan Boy, shit like that. Like there was like it was just like worlds apart. So I think that's why he had a sound that he maybe grew up around when he was a kid or a teenager or whatever, playing in bands, and I think he adapted that and put it towards and marketed it somehow to the point where everyone, and then a lot of other bands in Germany tried to copy them, like KMFDM.
I can't speak at all to any of this.
I know, because I'm the music asshole here. I'm like the music snob, annoying, rate your music user here. That's just facts. I'm the only one here who has an active rate your music account in this room.
An active what?
Rate your music account.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Discogs? Question mark.
No.
Do you know what Discogs is?
No.
Bleak.
Fuck
Bleak
you.
for this generation.
Fuck you.
Okay, Zoomer. Whatever.
Oh fuck, you're a Zoomer too, little bitch.
Yeah, but I'm
a Gen X fan. I'm man on Zoomer's body. You're so cringe. You know that, right?
I'm an old soul.
You're like the biggest redditor like most people have heard of. You know that, right?
Really?
Yeah. Most people who are listening to this have never been exposed to the kind of online kind of stalagmite that David
At least I'm
from the
heterodox.
Haymarket View is. Of course you're heterodox. At least you're heterodox. At least everybody's heterodox.
No, Reddit is super orthodox.
Because of course you're heterodox. You're heterodox in the way that you're not a normal thinker. It's good in some ways, but it's interesting in others.
Dude,
so
you really do not go on mainstream Reddit enough, because you would know that if you
go on a couple of subreddits.
Mainstream Reddit is
I'm the
super
guy
fucking
out
boring.
of the two
It's
of
like
us.
epic bacon.
I'm the guy out of the two of us who does not have that much influence online and who does not look online for my kind of content as much. Dude, I do not have those kind of mentalities. You kind of do, and it's a nice balance. Everybody listening, I don't know, like the video if you like the kind of balance. But anyways, David, we got to get back on topic.
World War I.
World War One.
Okay, John, here's a question for you, John.
What do you inquire, David?
Do you think that the Austro-Hungarian Empire, regardless of if this war had happened, was inevitably going to be ending very soon?
Yes.
Like even if, let's say World War I never happened, nothing with Principe.
I hate saying this, but when you have an empire that a lot of people think as possible hegemony in the area, something of a superpower, if you will, of the time, which Austro-Hungary, whether people think of it or not, was a joint empire that had a lot of promise and a lot of plans. It had generational ideas, and you know what? When you make generational ideas, when you think of things like Archduke Franz Ferdinand, like if you assume him power, and if he gets too many ideas, then he'll advertise too many things, and then people will not like what he kind of plans, and people will want to kill him, and then people want, like all these different things are propelled by accelerationism of its own kind of plans. And unfortunately, when you plan so many things, well, I'm not saying that state planning is a bad thing, but what I am saying is that You know what? Scratch this point. What I'm literally saying is that empires can fall by just the simplest of butterfly effects.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my point. Scratch what I'm saying. I want to edit it out, but you know what? Because everybody should know that I'm very not sober anytime we're having these videos. Just know that was a little faux pas. Sorry, my bad about all that little tirade. The point is that everything can be toppled by a little pin, and I think that's the lesson we should learn.
I also think another issue with Austro-Hungary, and this is an issue with a lot of empires, was that it was a very diverse empire, but an extremely segregated empire. Extremely ethnically segregated, not even remotely what's the term I'm thinking of here? Integrated. There was
Really
almost no.
explain?
Well, in Austro-Hungary, right, you had regional ethnic majorities. So, for instance, in the West, it was majority Austrian Germans, obviously, and then Hungarians. And then in the Balkans, you had a whole bunch of different groups. You had Slovenians, Croatians, Bosniaks, and Serbs. And of course, you also had Jews and Romani throughout. You had Ukrainians, you had Poles, you had Czechs and Slovaks, and Romanians as well in Transylvania, and Germans as well, different German diasporas who were all over the place. It was okay. Really, there wasn't really much of a uniting factor beyond maybe Christianity, and even then, there was still a significant Jewish and Muslim minority in the country. But beyond that, there really wasn't a lot else that united, let's say, even just Austrians and Hungarians. Culturally, really, there wasn't a lot. I don't think there was enough. And this got even worse the further east you went, because there were also regions of the empire that were super duper neglected, especially like Ukraine and Transylvania. Well, I should say Galicia, which is like the southeast or southwest of Ukraine. But yeah, like Galicia and Bukovina and Transylvania were like absolute backwaters. Whereas like you went to somewhere like in Vienna or Prague, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, look at us, she. Like,
such culture.
Yes, and it's like you can't expect to have a country where there's already tensions and yet there's no integration, and there's clearly a power dynamic here. Like clearly there are some groups in this country that are more powerful than others, who the government cares more about than others. That's my take.
I think that's a very good point. Very two different. Mine's a much more macro. Yours is a micro example. Again, yeah. Anything can happen to an empire, but no matter what, everybody, we should always think of these things as temporary things. No matter what, thankfully, we should all have comfort in knowing that the U.S. empire is gonna end eventually.
Oh, yep.
At least the U.S. empire.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, mashallah, come that day. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm really serious in saying, like, the U.S. empire is probably one of the biggest things that's going to start a world war eventually.
Yeah, or nuclear war, whatever.
Yeah. Too much pushing is going to happen. Not to say that Russia isn't doing other pushing. I think they're a big contender in that. However, the problem is the U.S. has done so much more under people's noses, and it is not getting attention at all. And the thing is that the UN's people and the NATO people all know about it. They all do. They all know about the operations. Okay, this is like half of the. I don't know about half, but I would argue that the people in the. This is like in World War I, if half of the kind of government of Serbia knew about the kind of shit's happening. And I would argue, in terms of population around the world, tensions might have arose where that kind of might have happened. Either class divides or economic divides for future plans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or something like that.
What do you think, John? When the American Empire inevitably collapses, what should we keep?
What should we keep
from American culture?
Not much, to be honest.
Baseball, maybe?
No,
I think we should keep baseball. We should keep baseball. We should keep John Candy. Well, okay. Actually, wait, no. John Candy was Canadian, but most of his movies were American. So I don't know where that goes. But I want to still watch.
James Dean.
James Dean.
We should keep James Dean.
Because honestly, I think American culture peaked in the 50s. Like in terms of art.
It did. No,
not necessarily society,
but
Elvis.
We should keep Michael Jordan.
Sure. The great athletes. Babe Ruth.
Sure. Betty White,
Betty White, definitely. The Golden Girls, great show.
Beyonce,
Beyonce,
Queen,
gorgeous woman, very talented, very
God.
very empowering woman.
A goddess
Kanye
among
West.
them. No,
I'm joking. Well, actually, no, I'm not. Fuck you.
no.
Why?
His music is really fucking good, and don't get me wrong.
But do you think it's like not like the most highest like?
He is not going to heaven. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I'm talking about his music, not him as a person, dude. I mean, should we keep his?
He has enabled
discography?
so much right wing.
I don't want to do a Kanye episode today.
We're not doing a Kanye episode. We're doing a World War One episode.
I know.
We have an entire hour left.
I'm just saying, in terms of American culture, like recent music, Kanye's honestly, and it's not maybe that says something about society, but I feel like he's one of those creative people in decades.
He 100% is, but he's crazy.
He's like Alan Moore. Actually,
No, he's worse.
Probably, yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm sorry, he is worse.
He is genuine because he's genuinely mentally ill.
I actually think he could use a therapist and somebody to actually help him express his ideas. I don't think he's psychotic. I think he has a really hard time expressing his ideas.
Yeah.
And he goes to such abstract lengths to express his thoughts.
And it comes off weird.
But he thinks he's the top of his shit, because the more abstract you can get your thought and the more subjective you can talk about your principles, the more virtuous you come off, and the more incredibly intelligent you seem to others. Because if you've seen any, I mean, like looking at his podcast, like with Lex, whatever the fuck is Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
He comes off to this PhD computer scientist and like MIT prof, like this guy who's trying to like flex that, oh, I can think in these different dimensions. He was like, okay, let's make our universe, okay? And he was like imagining these sort of crazy hypotheticals and incredible structures that you could only need to understand if you're considering, I guess, like ontological and existential like philosophy itself, like universal, like cosmic, like nihilism type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you. And he really wasn't having these conversations, you know. It was really cringe that he was really bringing up these kind of things. I'm saying you can totally talk about your ideas in a much better and more concise way. Sorry, this is the Kanye rant on the World War One episode. This is a very bastardization of the idea of World War One. David, let's get back on the topic really quickly, but go ahead.
So, like, in terms of winners and losers in World War One, let's be honest. The Balkan. If you were a Balkaner, you were winning.
If you were Swiss, you were winning. If you were Swiss, you were winning. If you were Swiss, you were epic winning.
But also, if you were just
you were epic winning with the banks and all the Swiss SS members putting their
that's
fortunes.
World War II, my guy.
Well, sorry.
What about World War One?
True.
I'm saying World War One.
In both times.
If you were a South Slav, you were winning.
You know what's disgusting? How back in World War One, Switzerland was neutral even then.
You're talking about World War II, right?
No, so World War One.
What?
Wasn't it neutral World War One?
Neutral during both, man.
Was it not?
They were both. They were neutral during both World War One and World War Two.
I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so but it was really interesting that Russia took it out of its neutrality.
Yeah,
that's really cool. That's really cool, you know?
Yeah. I also think it's interesting that during World War One, we see the how just unstable the Russian Empire was at that point, and how easy it was to completely overthrow it. Like, I find that fascinating. What do you think that was? Do you think it was just a deteriorating morale, like people were just like losing hope in the Tsardom, or do you think it was also because like so many people were off at the front, et cetera, when that was happening? Like, how many people, or also so many people died? Well,
too. I would say so many people were out at the front.
Because also they had really high casualties during World War One.
Yeah, they did, because they had a lot of manpower and they did not have a lot of training. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys like our age or slightly older.
Even. And who were expecting to basically fight like it was the Napoleonic Wars or something.
Yeah.
They were not expecting fucking machine guns and shit.
Yeah, they weren't. Wait, didn't who banned shotguns? Or was that World War II?
World War II, I think. But yeah, like they didn't know. The French a little bit too in 1914, but they adapted pretty quickly. The Russians, though, took them a very long time. And also, I think
no matter what, they still fared the best in their environment.
Well, yes, I would agree with that.
they very much knew what to prepare for, whilst the German army did not at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Can we talk about the Schlieffen Plan and how it completely fucked up in his life?
Sure. Yeah.
So, to those who don't realize, the Schlieffen Plan was a World War I military strategy by General Kaiser Wilhelm II in World War I. Right? Yes. Kaiser Wilhelm II, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm so happy that I remember all this history. And Kaiser Wilhelm II is actually really interesting. Kaiser, the word Kaiser comes from the Germanic Latinization of Caesar, essentially. You know, like Hail Caesar. That's essentially Hail King, you know. Or king in a way, I guess ruler in a sense. So no matter what, anyway, so it was Kaiser Wilhelm II. And this guy, he essentially, with a bunch of other military strategists, of a bunch of generals and a bunch of other shit like that, thought it was an awesome idea to fuck up France. They're one of their biggest enemies, one of their biggest kind of things, because they were going to screw up people on multiple fronts. But one of the biggest worries was France. Unfortunately, they should have taken care of Russia more. But they thought that they were going to just get the... Or no, hold on. It was hold on. I might be getting my history wrong. Wasn't Schlieffen Plan organized by Albert von Schlieffen?
Yes.
That general. It wasn't by Kaiser.
No, not by Wilhelm. No.
No, sorry, my bad. It was by Alfred von Schlieffen. I'm not even looking at my. I promise everybody, I'm not even looking at my phones or anything. I'm just thinking, and I remember back to my 10th grade history class, guys. But the point was, the point was they needed to care about their battles on two fronts, around the Russian and around the French border. So that what they were going to do is think of, they were going to get rid of, so they thought that Russia was going to take much more time to care about their troops. They thought that they were going to need like months, okay, like 3 to 6 months, okay? So what they thought is that they could take France in 2 months. In 2 months that they could take France, and then they can care about Russia on the Eastern Front. But the problem that they didn't calculate for was that Russia got their troops ready in, I think, 3 weeks, or was it way less than that?
Yeah, in that ballpark.
I think it was way less than that. It was possibly even way less than that. And the thought was that they were going to go through Belgium, and that they were going to go and get rid of Paris that way. And then all their kind of geopolitical worries would be gone. If they got Paris and everything would be surrendered, then they could get rid of everything. But the problem was that they took way too long in Belgium. That was one of the biggest problems. They took way too long in Belgium. Belgium fought back really hard. Which battles essentially was some of the biggest stoppages?
The Somme?
Was it the Somme?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Or was that in Belgium, or was that in France?
I thought that was in France, although Belgium speaks French. I'm not sure if it's in Belgium or not.
Fuck. I feel like I should have done more. I should have taken more notes and shit for the specific shit here. But
anyway, so the point was that they took too long in Belgium. They took too long to do this, that, and the other. England got involved because of the London Agreement with Belgium, essentially having them being their imperialist, in a way, their imperialist kind of puppet, geopolitically, and then it puts England in a sense by default in a war. So along with that and the Franco-Russian agreement that made okay, we're not going to go through the entire World War I geopolitical ladder, but we are going to do that eventually, maybe on another year, maybe on another Remembrance Day episode. Which right now we're going to explain, I guess, some of the other stuff. So I guess the London Agreement, because Belgium had the London Agreement, England got involved. Because England got involved, they couldn't do as much, that's to say the least. And Churchill got involved, thankfully. Right?
Yes.
Right? Or wasn't Churchill World War, or was he both?
Wait, when did Churchill become really important?
No. It was this other guy. It was this really white-haired guy in World War One.
Because was Churchill?
It was Chamberlain.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Churchill fought in the Boer War, right?
Okay,
in South Africa.
He might have. So you know what? Then he wasn't World War One. He was World War Two.
What was he doing?
My bad, everybody.
I want to know this now because I feel like I should know this. I don't. So yeah, I gotta look into that then.
Yeah, of course he was World War II. I was just wondering if he was World War One. He wasn't. I think it was Chamberlain. But the point was, um, um, after that, so the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Germany did not have enough firepower to go through all that kind of mess. So, yeah, it did not work, and they got beaten, and it took a while, but they did it. And that is what we're kind of commemorating today.
And also, let's be honest. So we have a bunch of dying empires here. We have the Austro-Hungarian Empire. We have the German Empire. Well, the German Empire was basically going through some pretty shitty things right
I don't know. Germany kind of won.
They were the healthiest, but still.
Germany kind of won in the world
But
even
compared
now.
to, let's say, the British Empire or something, they were not doing as well as them. So you had Austro-Hungary, and you know what the other forgotten one was too?
The
fucking Ottomans.
Yeah, the Ottoman Empire.
The Ottoman
It was
Empire.
destroyed at that time after that.
And then,
It got cut
oh my
up,
God,
didn't it?
okay. It got carved up, and they almost did like what they did with Germany, where they basically installed a completely different government with a completely different ideological framework and etc. to replace the Sultan basically, because the Ottoman Empire was the emperor of the Ottoman Empire, right? He was also the custodian of the two holy mosques.
Really?
And he was viewed as being the last caliph to come after Muhammad.
Meaning what?
Meaning he was the last of his kind. There hasn't been a caliph
What's a
since.
caliph?
Like the head of the Islamic religion.
Wait, hold on. I thought the Islamic religion went to there's a different name for the Islamic religion leader. It's
I'm
a
pretty
Saudi guy.
sure. Well, okay, maybe not spiritually, but leadership wise. Maybe not the spiritual leader, but the political leader, I mean.
The political
From the leader of Shia, of Sharia law and all that. The political arbiter.
What's his name?
The last emperor?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it Mehmed the 16th?
I don't know. I don't know any.
I have to fucking
any
check.
Islamic history.
Of the last Ottoman. Well, first of all, because you're not me. You're not like a Turkey enthusiast.
No, not at all. What
I'm
the
fucking
fuck?
obsessed with Turkish politics.
Jesus Christ, David.
Bozkurtlar. Okay. The Grey Wolves.
Are we gonna
You know about the
are we
Grey
gonna get
Wolves, right?
demonetized and reported for that shit?
I hope so. Because
Jesus Christ,
you know,
no,
don't
David.
listen.
Guys,
I'm not saying that,
the Haymarket does
fucking-
not endorse that if it is rude or disrespectful or hateful towards any group.
well, I'm sure fucking, yeah.
All that we say is either ironic, sarcastic, or in hilarity of something else.
What do you think about
parody.
Erdogan?
In parody,
What do you think about Recep Erdogan?
I don't know.
He's the current president of Turkey.
I don't
It
know.
was Mehmed the 16th.
I don't know.
Mehmed Vahedin.
Shut the fuck up.
What?
What?
Oh wait, Mehmed Isadis Vahedin.
Interesting, David. Let's talk about World War One.
Fuck you! I'm reading this Wikipedia page about the last emperor. He was literally the last
emperor. Bullshit.
last
Has no
custodian.
clothes. He has no clothes.
He was the last custodian
The
of
emperor
the
has no
Great Holy
clothes.
Mosque, and his mom had a stupid fucking name. His mom was named
Emperor ain't
Louise
shit.
Kane.
They had no clothes.
Fuck you. Anyways, that was a big deal, and Turkey would never be the same after that.
Never.
Cause what you had, cause then there was fucking, you know his name. Say his name, dude.
I don't know what.
Say his name. Say it.
I don't actually know who you mean.
Mustafa Kemal Ataturk.
Oh, you're right. Fucking no. Okay, I remember that name. Yeah.
He changed everything. Turkey after World War I would never be the fucking same. Never. Different country. That's like fucking North Korea after World War II. Completely everything was just, or even China actually. Because did you know that Turkey went through a cultural revolution
No. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
that actually influenced Mao? Mao was influenced by it. And what he implemented in China in the 1950s was actually inspired by Ataturk.
Really.
That's what I've heard. Maybe that's not true. Anyways, but it makes sense. And I'm going to say it is. I don't give a shit. I'm not citing sources. Fuck that shit. What I'm trying to say
Fuck
is
that shit, guys.
cultural revolution. Because basically what happened was all the mosques, when they all had to be in Turkish after the war. And, the imams and all the religious leaders had way less power. People were not allowed to wear traditional clothing in public anymore. You had to wear Western-style clothing, like suits and shit. Like you couldn't wear. I mean, women were not. I mean, women you could wear a hijab, but you couldn't wear like a niqab or anything too covering. Men could no longer wear like turbans or fezzes in public.
They couldn't wear turbans?
Unless it was for like a folk dance or something, but not in regular life. Unless you were a religious leader,
You get like
a
fined
civilian.
or some shit.
Yeah, you could. Because
Oh
you're
my
supposed to be,
God,
they
what the
wanted
fuck?
because they were encouraging people to wear. Because okay, Ataturk was a Francophile, and he wanted a Turkey to be like France, basically. So the style of clothing, he was like the Parisian style. He wanted that to be the fashion of Istanbul and the major cities of Turkey. He wanted it to look like Paris. And you know what? It didn't really work, but he tried. Let's be honest here. Like, Istanbul is not really Paris, and obviously most of the Turkish population live in Berlin now. Basically half the population live in Germany, which is ironic considering they sided with them during World War I. But yeah, man. So Turkey changed permanently. Like, it was like they basically wanted to de-Islamicize the society.
Yeah.
Because Ataturk was basically like a freaking, like, he was almost like into like Turkish like neo-paganism. Like, he was pretty, like, he wanted that to be more the focus of modern Turkish society. He wanted it to be like about like the great Tunra shit. Like, he was also obsessed with the Mongols. Because he viewed the Ottoman Empire as being like the successor to the Mongol Empire.
That's so interesting.
And he viewed.
Tell us about that at that time.
Okay.
Back in World War One.
Well, it was because he believed that the Turks were descendant from the same stock as the Mongols were. He believed that they were of the same one people.
Same cloth.
Same cloth, one language, one people. He believed that the Turkish language was very close to the Mongolian. No, he believed that. He did.
It's not, though.
Obviously, it's not. But in his head, he had this... And he actually felt similarly about the Hungarians, actually, and about certain other groups that he had, like, affinity for. Sorry. And he felt very strongly about this. And obviously, there was also the Young Turks during this time, too, who were kind of sort of associated with him. And, of course, you had one of the worst genocides in modern history, right at the end of World War One.
By the way, we're not talking about the Young Turks as in like that.
Not fucking what's his name?
Not
Chink Uyghur or whatever.
Not Cenk.
Or Senk.
Not Cenk.
I'm gonna say Cenk. Yeah.
No, it's not Cenk.
Anna Kasparian.
Or Anna or Hassan.
No. No, not them. We're talking about the organization that existed in the early 20th century in Turkey that Hassan seemingly didn't know anything about, which was cringe. He acted like...
It was really funny, too.
Like he was completely... Which honestly, you know what? That's fine. Because you know what? And whatever. Point I'm trying to say is...
you know what?
The Armenian genocide happened.
All right.
And also, we on this podcast, we support Armenia.
We, as the Haymarket View, supports Armenia.
Fuck Erdogan. And fuck NATO imperialism. Long live Armenia.
Sure, maybe.
That was really soy. I'm sorry. No, I'm serious.
I haven't done my research, so I'm just gonna
Armenia
say sure.
is based. Fuck you.
Fuck. If it's some Russian state, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Exactly. That's why it's
I
based.
fucking hate you.
Well, they are backed by Russia, but who else is gonna back them?
Half of the U.S.
Like freaking Namibia? No.
Half of the Haymarket View supports Armenia.
Okay, who else is gonna support them against NATO
Russia,
imperialism?
apparently, motherfucker.
Tell me who else.
Russia's gonna support them
Laos?
by
Come on.
threatening them more. You know,
By threatening who?
them,
Who?
Armenia.
Armenians.
Yeah.
Why? They're not threatening.
I don't
them.
think NATO's the big bad guy here.
You're wrong. You're okay. I don't like Russia either, but you're objectively wrong.
I don't think NATO is as big of as bad of an actor as Russia's being. Russia's literally been hasn't just gas whistle fucking dog whistled. He's been fucking explicit towards the nukes, and it's been really scary for a lot of people. Putting that much fear into the world, he can go and fuck himself no matter what. As for the NATO shit, they're mangling little puppeteers who like to take little countries
They're
under their wing.
imperialists.
However, the problem is that most people don't know about it, and it's not going to be stopped by any conventional. No, most people don't know about it, so it's not going to be stopped by conventional means. So you know what? It's just going to do what its thing is going to do. And unfortunately, we're going to find that in the end, we're going to have one new world order, the NATO UN order, and that'll be it.
I fucking hope that's not the case, dude.
Unfortunately, I feel like that
You're
is
being very
be
pessimistic.
I'm being
right
pessimistic, but that is
that's actually that's such a black pill, dude.
It's either the black pill is either Poseidism or we make world. It's either okay. You know what? The black pill is either we weed out the rest of everything that isn't NATO or UN, we as in the West, or else we make World War One look like child's play with our nuclear pasadism.
I hope it's not that.
I don't know.
I hope it's something way cooler than that. But the issue is when and how. But yeah, I really hope things get better before they get worse, even though I don't expect them to. Because I do agree with you. I think things are going to get worse before they get better.
They're going to get way worse.
Way fucking worse.
China's going to test this shit with Taiwan.
Probably other shit too.
Yeah,
China, for all we know, China's going to fucking... You know what else? Okay, this is so stupid. I hate that we're doing China shit right now. I think China's going to invade Vietnam.
We don't need to do China shit, but this is just a tangent on tangent. Sorry,
I could see it happening. China invading Vietnam. Because, hey, man, it was only 40 years ago last time they tried. I don't know about invading. Why not? No, I don't mean annex. I mean invade and replace with a puppet government.
I'd argue that, yeah, no, okay, then fair, yeah.
I'm not saying they want to incorporate
I'd argue that they should. You know what? A good project for the Chinese CIA is looking at Vietnam and saying, hey, how do we make this ours like the CIA makes shit theirs?
Exactly, because Vietnam, since the 80s
Vietnam,
and the 90s,
they could 100% make Vietnam shit.
Of course, because you know what? Vietnam is way too cozy with the U.S. and NATO right now. Yeah, way too fucking cozy.
Yeah.
Like, no. That's just not going to fucking fly. I honestly, I do wonder what they do about North Korea, though. Like, I do wonder, like, if there was ever enough instability to the point where the Kim dynasty, like, completely fell on their ass, if China would swoop in and just annex North Korea and make it, like, a special autonomous zone. Like,
maybe, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah, because, like, North Korea,
how about this?
Okay.
China, there would be a Chinese empire consisting of Vietnam, Taiwan, both Koreas, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and... yeah, that's essentially it.
I think the only other alternative for North Korea is
Tajikistan.
This is my theory about what would be good for North Korea.
Maybe.
Or what would be possible. Like, let's say if the Kims don't continue ruling the country.
What other stands? I don't know.
What if North Korea tried to do what Vietnam did in the 80s, which is like try to do like what China did in the 70s, basically. So like implement more foreign investment, more trade, like add elements of free market.
Haven't they already?
No, they fucking haven't, dude. Like, that is if they can get the U.S. to take an embargo off of them. Which Vietnam did. China fucking did. So I'm just saying, if, let's say they clean up some of the human rights stuff, not all of it, but the really bad shit, they clean up that. And they decide, okay, we're going to add in more foreign investment. We're going to kowtow.
Wait, China?
No, North Korea.
Oh, North Korea,
If the Kims fucking die off and they become unpopular and everyone just wants a new government. But still like a Marxist-Leninist government. You know?
That'd be so hard to have foreign investment with a Marxist-Leninist government.
Hey, Vietnam does it.
MLs are isolationists.
Not Vietnam. I'm saying if they follow a Vietnamese style thing, then they would be okay. At least they'd be better than they are now. And they wouldn't have to reunify with South Korea. But you know what they could do?
What?
They could start having, like, doing what Vietnam did, which is start having close economic relations from South Korea. I could see it happening. Like, if they clean up their shit a little bit, they could get tons of investment from South Korea. They could.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting until China gets aggressive.
Well, let's hope China would be okay with, because China also has trade relations with South Korea. So let's say maybe they're just like, yeah, this is fine. Like, let's say China fully supports this decision. Then maybe North Korea could be a little bit better. That's all I'm saying. It would be better than the current status quo, and it's, I think, better than rejoining South Korea, because at this point that would be a fucking nightmare logistically. Like that, I do think it's gonna happen within the next century, but it's gonna be like it's gonna be Germany in the early 90s times 500.
Do you really think so?
Yes, no question. Because
okay.
Can I explain why?
Have your thoughts. Explain.
Because first of all, East Germany, when it reunified with West Germany, a lot of people don't know this. East Germany was one of the wealthiest, most highly developed countries in the Eastern Bloc, no question. Were they poor compared to West Germany? Yes. But by the standards of the Eastern Bloc, they were literally the top echelon. Maybe the best place to live in the Eastern Bloc. What about North Korea?
Because they were so fucking close to the West.
Well, yeah, and also they became like a huge hub for like literally every kind of industry. Like trade-wise, the whole Eastern Bloc relied on East Germany.
Because everything was coming from the West.
No, but there also was a lot of shit being made in East Germany, though, and in Czechoslovakia and Hungary.
Because they had a lot of technology from shit from the West.
Most of that was from pre-World War II, but
yeah,
whatever.
From shit from the West.
Why is that from the West?
Because it comes from
From
other
the
countries.
previous
And
German government?
yes.
No, it wasn't. It was shipped made in Germany.
I don't know about that one.
What do you mean that one? So you're saying the German military did not have computers or anything that was made in Germany? It was all made in the U.S.
Of course
or
they had
in Britain or whatever?
No, of course they
You're
had
making
a
a
lot
dog
of,
shit point right
of course
now.
they had a lot of shit. No, I'm not. I am making a very good point. They had a lot of shit that was given from the West. That's why they were.
East Germany did not. They had shit given from the Soviets.
Sorry, everybody. They were given shit from the Soviets, but the problem is that they were always a little bit ahead of everybody compared to, say, for example, people in Moscow with their technology. Why? Because they had a little bit more influence and technology, and I guess books. A lot of professors going from West Germany, East Germany.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like, there's definitely a fuck ton of ideas that are fresh out of East Germany. That is fresh out of East Germany. That is not even seen in anywhere else. Sorry for that,
Save
everybody.
for maybe Czechoslovakia or Hungary. Maybe.
Yeah, but again, it's because they're so close.
That's another example of being close.
So close to the border.
But what I'm trying to say is, though, comparatively, in terms of like level of development, no question. Like compare like East and West Germany. I would argue they were economically way closer than North and South Korea are in terms of human development.
Way closer.
Way fucking closer. No fucking question.
It's not even a question.
In fact, if I'm not,
hundreds of times closer. Hundreds of times.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not wrong, there was a period of time, and maybe in the 60s, or like the late 60s, early 70s, where East and West Germany actually had like almost the same human development index. In the 60s, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised per se.
Not in the 80s, but earlier. I
wouldn't be surprised if you mean like happiness.
Yes, sure.
Okay, if happiness is what you mean, then maybe. In terms of industrialization, no. But yeah, no, that's just my thought. Fuck, that's insane to think. You know, everybody keep in mind the historical kind of conditions makes everything so much different. But no matter what, North Korea right now and South Korea are such a big difference. You know, like right now.
What I'm saying, it would make more sense.
Like right now, North Koreans, their best clothes are their army issued uniforms.
And that's what I'm saying. The point I'm trying to make is, John, and this is something that I think some Korean political theorists have already thought about, which is the idea of like soft reunification instead of hard reunification.
What do you mean soft unification?
Like both countries stay sovereign states, but they just decide to implement relations with each other and like coexist.
I don't know. There needs to be a lot of concessions from North Korea.
That's exactly that. That's
and South Korea will never do it without a fucking letter from the Kims.
Well, first of all, I think the idea is that the Kims would have to resign and that there would need to be a new government elected that would have some support from somebody, like a government that would be open.
That would take the biggest intelligence operation to have ever happened in the CIA, 21st century.
I'm just saying like a government that says, okay, maybe we should just have relations with them at this point because China has relations with them. In fact, maybe... How hard would it be for Chinese Central Intelligence to fucking get into Pyongyang? If, let's say, Kim Jong-un dies in 5 years because he dies from a heart attack because he's fucking fat.
Yeah.
Let's say, well, I guess he lost weight, but whatever.
That's cool.
Let's say that happens. How hard would it be for the Chinese to actually to get in there? Because they already have, like, aren't there already pretty close, like, relations between this two, like, in terms of, like, intelligence?
Maybe.
How hard would it be? I don't know. I think it's possible if they wanted to. Because, yeah, basically...
I think it's possible, but I don't think it's as likely as you think.
I think it would be better than the status quo.
Maybe.
Because then you, like I said, then you could have this, you know, you could open up the border. It'd be like, you know, soft reunification, where now there's cultural, political, and even maybe, you know, people could work. There'd probably be a lot of people coming to the South to work for who knows how long. They'd have to make laws about who could get citizenship because that would be a whole fucking issue as well. In terms of South Korea, because technically in South Korea, all you need to have citizenship, well, if you're not born in the country, you just need to be either married to a South Korean or you need to be ethnically Korean. You don't actually have to be from the country. You can be, like, if you're an ethnic Korean from, like, China or something, or even if you were born in the United States or in Canada or Australia, New Zealand, wherever, you are eligible for citizenship. So they would have to have some kind of loophole. Because I don't really see them accepting, because that would be way too many fucking immigrants to accept. So they would have to make some sort of clause of why North Koreans would be excluded from that. Like, just to make it safe. Because that would be let's say, okay, that would just be way too fucking much too. Even though it would be easier than them having to actually go there and build shit, which is what would happen if there was hard reunification. But still, it would still be an undertaking. Not denying that.
Undertaking is an understatement.
Oh no, it would be fucking insane.
That would be the mission, boys. That would be that would be the motive. for ages, if you will.
Yes, and I have no fucking clue where this
Ages.
money would come from. But
Nobody knows. Nobody. Has
no
any
one
idea.
fucking knows.
Nobody fucking knows. Not one. Not
because
one.
guess what? It's not 1989 anymore. It's just not.
No.
Things are not as simple as fucking as how it was then with German reunification.
Okay. So,
and also another point with Germany was that, as far as I know.
Okay, if we're talking about World War One, let's talk about Germany.
Okay, we're talking about in the context of World War.
Okay, this is a World War One episode,
Fuck,
bro.
you're right. It is. Fuck. Why are we talking about other shit so much? Okay.
We're sorry, everybody.
So how much of so do you think that out of all, another one that was weird in terms of countries that Germany wanted to side with?
Yeah.
Why Bulgaria?
Oh, because they had a lot of people who immigrated outside. The diaspora was very rampant sometimes, and well, this is one part of it that a Bulgarian buddy told me. A lot of people kind of left, and Bulgaria was wanted because it had a lot of influence and a bunch of people who could create different influences in different places. Bulgaria was a tool used, essentially, from what I know, at least from one of the guys who I know from school.
There's also the issue of Bulgaria being kind of, I guess, worried about getting too close to Russian influence as well. Or the influence of, let's say, the Kingdom of Romania, or even the Ottomans, for that matter.
But they had to comply.
They had to. They had to, because really they were coming at them from all sides, essentially, because they had Romania just to the north of them. They had even Serbia obviously bordering them, and like that whole block. So yeah, they had to choose that. And of course the Bulgarian monarchy would not last another 40 years after the end of the war, as we all know, because they were quickly overthrown in the 1940s during World War II.
Yeah.
During my God, do you know that story, by the way?
I don't know exactly. Tell me.
My understanding of it is that the Red Army arrived in Sofia, right? The Red Army marched into Sofia.
And what year?
1943, I want to say.
Bro, let's talk about World War One.
But it's Remembrance Day. Let's talk about both wars. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
I think we can, and we will.
It's allowed.
It's sure. It's just about because in Canada, Remembrance Day refers to veterans of the Boer War, World War One, World War Two, and the Korean War. So we can cover all those fucking bases. And then we also talked about Korea. Makes sense. That's why we did it. We all planned this. You can see we're geniuses. And we talked about South Africa for like 5 minutes. No, we didn't. I don't think.
We mentioned it in the beginning.
Briefly.
Very briefly.
And we also mentioned Churchill's involvement in the Boer War.
Sure.
But yeah, so during World War II, the Red Army they've arrived in Sofia. They had to deal with some shit, but I don't think the Bulgarian forces, the Axis collaborators, were all that.
No, they weren't all that.
They were not much to. So they arrive at the palace, and they want to talk to the king, to the Tsar. Because back then Bulgaria was the last country in the world to have a Tsar. If you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. So they talked to the Tsar, and there's
since when?
Since I guess the establishment of the Soviet Union and the kind of reformation of Serbia as the Kingdom of Yugoslavia.
Damn. Okay. So that's like 19.
Let's say like the early, like just after World War One.
Yeah.
So like early 20s.
Or like late teens.
Yeah, and Bulgaria was the last country of a Tsar in the world.
Crazy. That's crazy.
So they want to talk to the Tsar. There's a problem. The Tsar is 11 years old.
That's no way.
So he didn't really have much of an option.
That's so funny.
And they spared him, of course. But of course he lost his position as monarch. But here's the weird thing. He's actually still alive. And he was elected government.
He's still alive today?
Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, he actually ran for office in Bulgaria.
When?
Like maybe 20 years ago.
No way.
Wait, I actually don't know if he won. Let me just double check.
I don't think he would have. Well, maybe he would have won. Fuck.
But I know this happened.
He was the most recent czar.
In the world, yes.
Or tsar. Or however you pronounce it. Whatever the fuck. Shut up.
Simeon was his name. And wait, how old is he now? Let me see.
I would have thought that those guys would have been dead by now.
Wait, he's 85? Whoa. He's 85. That's young.
That's really funny.
Okay, he is. Oh man. Wait, what the fuck? So he actually won.
Wait, no way.
He was elected prime minister in from 2001 to 2005.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. The last Tsar of Bulgaria, who, as a child, he became the prime minister as like an old man.
I fucking love that, bro.
How did the Nazis? How did he survive this? How did the Soviets they fucking let him off way too easy?
No, I'm sorry to say this, but that's the biggest that's the biggest fuck you to anti-monarch establishment. That's the biggest.
That's a black pill.
That's the biggest fucking black pill, bro.
I fucking hate NATO.
Oh my god, we had to eat our own fucking bug there.
Jesus Christ.
That's so humiliating. Fuck.
So, okay, he actually was not 11. He was 6 years old when the Red Army arrived in Sofia.
Oh, he was 6. Sorry. That is even better. This is so fucking hilarious.
God,
even as a kid. He probably doesn't remember anything from that time. But he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm coming back for it.
No, low key though.
I'm going back for my birthright. You know what? You guys think he just did it for one term because he wanted to just be in and out? Just like, yo, I just fucking did that. Yo.
Maybe. If so, I fucking respect the hustle.
You know he's set for life. Like he has the Tsar's fortune.
He does. This was him. During his reign, his brief reign.
He's such a well-groomed kid.
He had to wear this cool outfit and shit.
He had to wear this awesome-ass white little suit with a little belt and a little sword on the back when he's a little fancy little boy. But the point is like, the guy got ousted. Okay, anyways, this is really interesting lore.
Wait, David. Was he in the military?
Probably. He would have probably had to have been as a military son.
Trying to look here.
Or not a military son, the political son.
Yeah,
if you will.
So was he in exile?
Was he in exile?
His role.
That's crazy.
They were exiled to Egypt. So he lived in Egypt.
Okay.
And then in Spain when he was 15. His family lived in Spain under the Franco dictatorship.
Of course he did. Why wouldn't he?
Because obviously, why wouldn't they take him in? Yeah. Oh wait, was he in the Spanish military? What? I think so. That looks like a Spanish uniform to me.
Is that a Spanish uniform?
I think so. Okay, that's interesting. Wow. This is a really interesting lore here. Yeah, I find that really just like fascinating that such a thing could happen in his lifespan and he's still fucking alive. How many I wonder
how many girls has this guy fucked?
A lot. But okay, you know what I wonder, John? How many monarchs, or even just like, let's say pre-World War II world leaders in Eastern Europe that the Soviets overthrew? I feel like he's the like only one who survived.
Not the only one, but definitely there's probably like 10 major ones.
No, but in terms of them who are living today.
Yeah, like 10 major ones.
Let's say like in terms of the governments that you had in like the various Nazi collaborative
He's definitely one of the most successful top 10 descendants of the aristocracy.
In Eastern Europe, yes.
Yeah,
because like,
oh my
isn't
God,
it true
that's
that like
a fucking flex though?
Isn't it true because like for instance with the Russians, right? What the fuck is like the current heir to the throne even doing? Isn't she like a socialite in Moscow?
I don't know. I really don't know.
She's like a model or something, I think. But I think yeah, she is, and she's still about. But yeah, it's kind of funny how this stuff happens. That one way or another, these fucking people end up back in the country. The House of Romanov, yes. Who the fuck is the current person? Final ruler. And that's not what I want to know. Fucking Jesus.
Sorry on the research on the fly, everybody.
Family tree. Who is the... Wait, does this just go back... Just go to the... That sucks. It only shows... Wait, what? Romanov imposters? Are there people who have like lied? Oh, that's awesome. I love this shit so much.
Is there an entire Wikipedia page on imposters for this fucking family?
Yes, there is.
That's so funny. You know, there's... Okay, David, back on topic.
Why was it?
You know, there's a topic at hand?
Why was it that in World War I, the Russian aristocracy wanted so hard to be Western European? Why did they have such an affinity for it? Why do you think?
Because they sought it as the future of the rich and famous to emulate the highs of that kind of place. Because things are going less east, more west. Cringe, but you know what? When your entire world and family is built on tradition, you want to find the best tradition for your family. Fuck.
I know. I just think it's interesting how disconnected they were from like the people. Really, the only
They were the biggest grifters of the fucking world.
But did you know that? Did you know, John?
The aristocracies were the biggest grifters. Period.
But did you know that the
I didn't
fucking
know.
the Romanovs were declared saints by the Russian Orthodox Church?
It's like gay and fucking cringe.
And like the fucking successor, she has like there's like a picture of her, and she's like a model, like I said. There's a picture of her in her office, and she has like all these icons, like a big Russian Orthodox cross, and like icons of like the fucking Tsar family and shit next to Jesus and the apostles.
That's
like holy fuck.
That's like spit worthy.
That's you would fucking spit on her icons.
Fucking spit on her like no, I wouldn't spit on her like shrines. But I would definitely just like not respect it.
It's not sexy.
It's not sexy
Not
at all.
not attractive.
Not
Even though I
attractive.
do think so. Do you think a girl,
trait, to say the least?
John? Do you think a girl who has like you go into her room and she has a massive like collection of like Orthodox icons?
Okay, hold on. Orthodox what?
Icons.
Orthodox what though?
They're just like everyone, like Orthodox Christian. She has a bunch of icons, like a massive, like in her, like she has like a table. It's almost like a shrine,
and she has like what kind of Orthodox Christian, Orthodox Jewish,
Orthodox Christian, fucker.
Okay, then say that.
That's
Fuck.
what I said.
Okay, you know, not the first time.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's fine. Although it's very cringe.
What if she just collects them because she thinks they're nice?
That's cool. That's cool as shit. She's awesome.
Like, let's say
She's awesome. A girl is awesome if they can collect awesome and cool, weird, like niche objects. That's really cool. If you like collect that, that's like plus hot points.
John, this is the ideal male living space.
Guys, everybody, I'm going to explain this to everybody who doesn't see it. It's a barn with a woman knees down onto a cradle with a blanket that is used to also take out the sun from the window. But it's used to coddle the baby because these people are very poor, as it seems. They only have one bench and a other bench connected to a wall that houses a blanket and a weirdly large and very extremely looking extremely comforting looking pillow with a clearly sick man. And it is a very dilapidated old painting of a log cabin and I guess a very old timey kind of like look.
But they have the icons
of the Orthodox Church up on the sill of the roof or of the room. Sorry.
They have like when I look at this I see that they have what looks like the Theotokos and
really interesting for some fucking reason.
Christ the Patriarchos.
Okay, let's get back to
I want to talk about Orthodox. Oh, look at
we can talk about Orthodox.
The girl, you go to the girl's house. This is her fucking. She has this in her room.
We can. Okay, if this girl has a kind of like 10-20 pictures of Orthodox people,
but
Virgin,
it's just a hobby,
like
John.
I see Virgin Mary, Jesus, Joseph, and all these people, and it's really interesting. But the problem is,
you don't want to fuck in front of that.
I don't want to fuck in front of that. They're all looking at me. I see
little
them,
bit of turn off.
I see them with, they paint their eyes in a certain way. Like once you look back, you can never really know that they aren't looking at your back. The hairs on the back of your neck stand, and it's really not the best thing.
That's literally a joke.
You fuck another girl, and then you see the crucifix in the center of her room, and you're like, fuck.
She's like kind of an alt girl.
Yeah, he's kind of an alt girl, but like you realize that Jesus like has googly eyes, and the bed shaking is making it shake, and it's like looking at you, and you're really high, so you're like really you're really 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 on edge.
It's like that movie when Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston are like on their honeymoon, and they're in like are they in Italy or Greece? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But in that movie, and there's like the picture of like Jesus, and they're really uncomfortable, and like they have like two beds, and like this old Greek woman is like telling them not to fuck.
Okay, you do not have fun.
That's like not a Greek accent, but
that's not a Greek accent.
I don't think so, John.
Sorry, I got the face shape wrong, guys. I'm sorry. Anyways,
Could be wrong,
the problem is with World War I is that too many people don't realize the difference between it and World War II, in my opinion.
And what do you think the big difference was, besides the risk?
I think I actually differ in that. I think the biggest risk was in World War I.
Why?
Because if that were to have happened, then we would have if World War I would not have happened, we would not have had World War II. If World War II would not have happened,
We would still have had World War One.
Yeah, I guess in a way, but we would also have a lot of political unrest. There would have been a lot of same actors going on and making a lot of turmoil in different parts of the world for different reasons. Or no, for the same reasons on different grounds with different people, but the exact same kind of problems happening, I would argue. World War II and that kind of thing was not something that was as catastrophic in a butterfly effect kind of way as then World War One.
Yeah.
I guess just by default. But the thing is that people don't realize the difference in the technology and how many people were killed and the political aspirations of these different countries. You know, World War One did a lot. It did the Treaty of Versailles. For those who don't realize, the Treaty of Versailles was an accord that was signed by the major winners. Everybody from, and by the way, actually, fun fact, a little lore about Canada, fun fact, Canada was disputed amongst the table while signing the treaty because while voting what to do with the little chunks of Europe that they were cutting up, you know, different parts of the world like Italy called Britain out saying, hey, you know, Canada is just another vote for Britain.
Yeah.
But Canada was essentially like, you know what? No, we are our own country. And I think they got their own seat, right?
Yeah, they did.
They got their own seat. Canada was its own really big considered country, at least in importance for many reasons, partly because of Vimy Ridge and the 4 divisions all joining up under Major General Arthur Currie and along with a bunch of other different things where Canadians just fucked up all of the competition. Neither here nor there. Anyways, this is a little bit of a history lesson on Canada, a little bit of a tangent on the World War One little history, but the point was like the treaty and different parts cut up the world really interestingly, but World War II cut up the world for a lot actually, for a lot. Of course, the treaty caused World War II, in my opinion, the vitriol that made World War II happen. I guess if we're talking about more differences between World War I and II, if we're talking about these kind of big political bouts on the world macro stage, I guess we could talk about the way that the technology differed in things like some horrors being in both, things like chlorine gas being made in 1917, I believe, and there was a bunch of things like machine guns being popularized and then different strategies being popularized, different blitzkrieg, different things like shotguns being being wanted to be banned from war because they were just too overpowered in trenches. There were too many examples of problems happening to the different divisions with trench foot that were partly remedied in World War II, although barely, very, very, very barely. There were a lot of differences between World War I and II, but I think we should both remember them as great events in our history. Not
extremely
great,
important.
Extremely important, great. Not great as in amazing.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
And fun. I do not mean that, of course. Anyways, David, talk a little bit about how the Korean War, if Remembrance Day over here is for that, how the Korean War happened and the, I guess, proxiness of that. I'm not 100% sure on my history of that.
Well,
I'm wondering if you know a little bit.
Well, the Korean War, you see, was essentially a proxy war between the United States and Soviet Union.
A little louder for those in the back.
I'm trying to do like Noam Chomsky.
I know you're trying to do Noam Chomsky.
You tell,
but Noam Chomsky is so he needs to be turned up like 200%.
Well, the conditions were at the time, quite significant, I would say, because when we look back at this and we see the fallout after the defeat of Imperial Japan, that we saw that there was really no question of where Korea was to go. It was going to be split between the Allies who liberated it, which would have been the between the Russians, the Soviets, and of course the Americans. Now, at the time, there was kind of an understanding, mutual agreement, but this clearly. Oh fuck! Sorry. So
no, it's amazing. I love it. It's amazing.
But
essentially, close enough, it works perfectly.
So okay, basically the TLDR on the Korean War, the U.S. and the Soviet Union disagreed on the boundaries of what would be under their sphere of influence. Also, the U.S.-backed government was kind of sus. Like the North Korean government, people don't know this, but Kim Il Sung, actually was kind of legit, in the sense that he was a legitimate Korean nationalist freedom fighter who did fight against Imperial Japan to liberate Korea. And at the time, of course, he wasn't thinking North and South. He was thinking liberating Korea, the Korean people. Park Chung-hee, who was the U.S.-appointed leader, mind you, he was not the first leader of South Korea. Initially, the South Korean government was actually a lot more left-leaning and a lot more sympathetic to socialism. But of course, that wasn't going to last very long. So the U.S. immediately put as quick of a kibosh as they could on it. But Park Chung-hee was the opposite. Park Chung-hee was a Japanese collaborator. He had fought and volunteered in the army in Manchukuo, in occupied northeastern China. So he was very different in his view of things. And a lot of people would argue that Kim Il-sung was actually more of a Korean nationalist than he was, in terms of his views. Because, like for instance, Park Chung-hee was a lot more sympathetic. He was a bit of a Japanophile. Now, he wasn't super open about it later in his career, of course, because by that point, among the masses in Korea, Japan was fairly unpopular. But if you had asked him personally on the down low, you would have found out that he was actually very interested in things like Bushido and in Japanese sort of codes of honor, things like this. And I mean, of course, the banking system.
A lot of principles of theirs.
Yes. And there are also other things that remained in Korea, like the banking system. The banking system that exists to this day, the banking system that enabled Korea to go through the economic miracle of the 1970s and 80s, is literally just the banking system that had been established by Imperial Japan in the early 19th century. It more or less continued. It just, of course,
Why is that, David? Can you explain?
Why did it continue? Probably because it was considered efficient, I guess. It was seen as efficient. It was seen as functional. And they weren't just going to completely replace it with an American-style bank system just because. That wasn't going to happen. Same thing happened in Taiwan and elsewhere. Places that had been former, Japanese territory. And then you had, of course, the issue of China, who at the time were also like a growing world power. The Chinese and Taiwan and everything like that. That was also happening like only a few years earlier. Like the mass exodus, and really what people would consider to be the full control that the Chinese Communist Party had. That was only in 1949. So that's only like maybe 2 years before the Korean War as well. So let's keep that in mind. But yes, we had this. It was an imperial proxy war between the USSR and between American interests. And I would say it was largely something that was a waste of time, and it's largely forgotten for a reason. Because when you think of wars, most people, the Korean War is one of the last ones they think of. They think of Vietnam, but why do they think of Vietnam? Because it was embarrassment. That's why. Whereas the Americans, they did some pretty shitty things during the Korean War, and I'm not even gonna get into that. I don't need to. If you know, you know. But compared to Vietnam, they at least were semi-successful. Of course, the Korean War never ended. The Korean War ended by a ceasefire. It was a truce. It was not an official end. There was no declaration of surrender from either side. It was a mutual ceasefire agreement.
Shit show.
And a mutual shit show, I agree. Yeah.
Interesting.
So if I had been alive at the time, I would have 100% sided with North Korea. No question.
All right, David. Thank you, David.
You would have too, John. Don't vote with me. You would have.
Shut up. I would not vote for North Korea to make it.
You would have sided. Why?
I would not have sided with the North Koreans.
You would have sided with the U.S.
Knowing that they would become what they are today.
You wouldn't know that though at the time. For all you knew, they could become the most developed, most beautiful socialist utopia in the world.
I would hope that they would.
So then you're saying you would have supported North Korea?
I would hope that
Just say
I would support the socialist cause. I would not support the
I want
state.
to trigger the libs, John. I want to trigger this. I want to trigger the normies.
And I would not support the state. Anyways, David.
Fuck you! You really frustrate me sometimes.
David,
if
you're an ML and you support the state, you're a cringe ML.
I'm not saying that.
David.
I'm just saying within a pragmatic version of history, I would have supported North Korea if I would have been alive in the 1950s.
MLs aren't pragmatic. So let me, David. Is there?
Oh my god! I really hope we don't get shit for this.
We're not going to get shit for this.
Actually, maybe that would be a very popular opinion.
No, it's not going to be popular, but it's going to be fine.
It's a hot take.
David.
Hot takes on this podcast. Yes? Okay, what is it?
anything else to talk about World War One before we put on our conclusions?
Yeah, like I said, literally every country. Okay, it wasn't just the U.S. that could have had a revolution.
Do you want to have any other topics?
No, this is like my little final thing.
All right, this is a final thing. All right.
I think that a revolution in Germany was also very, very possible had things gone differently during World War One.
Revolution in Germany, yeah, 100%. Yep. I agree.
Everyone predicted it. Everyone was thinking Germany was going to be the country.
Everybody wanted it too.
Yeah,
it was popular.
It was, and there was a fairly large left-wing movement in Germany.
And there was a fairly large sense of community in the labor movement at that time. Super big.
And this is, of course, long before the 1930s, which would be basically the almost the total extinction of the German labor movement, at least until, the post-war era. But yeah, this was, I mean, it would have either been Germany or maybe France, but even then, hard to say. Russia, the fact that what happened with Russia may have been even just luck on some level because of what was happening at the time. It was like the perfect time to take action.
Perfect storm, if you will.
Yeah, to take action to take down Moscow the way they did.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess mine, in a way, is that this has been a nice little podcast, pretty short, but kind of memorable about the interesting parts about intersectionality along with World War One. For those who don't really know, we, David and I, are two college kids, I guess you could say, from Canada. In the Northern Hemisphere, we're operating out of a dorm room. And if you guys like this content, make sure to like, subscribe, maybe share with somebody who you know. That would seriously help us. Every view counts, and we love any piece of content or feedback we can get from anybody.
Send this to your crush.
Send this to your crush. You're pretty based if you do that.
Send it to your arch enemy.
If you send it to your arch enemy, they might be scared of you. I'm joking.
I hope so.
No, cringe aside, thank you guys so much for watching. Anyways, so I've been John.
And I've been David.
And we are the Haymarket View. I guess we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, guys.